In this film, we're going to take you through all of the pre-use checks required before operating a tow truck. These checks are not only required to ensure your safety when using the vehicle, you also need to do them to make sure you won't be implicated for any damage already done to the vehicle before you started using it. Before you carry out the checks, you'll need to take a look at the information plates. These are usually inside the cab so they can be easily read. However, their location varies depending on the make and model of the truck. Sometimes all the information is contained on one plate only. Capacity plates display all the technical details about the truck, including rated capacity, that's how much the truck can tow, and its weight. They give the driver immediate sight of the key information required when working. Other information, such as the chassis number, the model, the year of manufacture, and the battery voltage, can also be found either on the same plate or on a separate one. As they're solid rubber, there's no need to check the tyres for air pressure on the tow truck, but you should check that there's an appropriate amount of tread on them. Also check for any cracks to the side walls and look to see if any big chunks have been taken out of the rubber, as these could destabilize the vehicle when it's moving. If the truck is a three-wheel vehicle, the front wheel is difficult to see. However, by getting down low, you'll also be able to see if anything here looks to be out of place or damaged. Walk around the entire exterior of the truck looking for any obvious damage. Check the shell for dints, scrapes, or any other signs of impact, which may also have damaged the chassis underneath. The tow pin at the back of the truck should be thoroughly inspected before you begin to use it. To do this, remove the pin and check it visually for any signs of wear. Check the eyelets into which the pin drops, making sure they too are not excessively worn down. Once you're satisfied with their condition, replace the pin and lock it into position. It's important to check all the lights on the truck before using it. Turn them on with the dashboard switch and check that both the standard and the full beams are working. Ask a colleague to check that the rear lights are operating, and after applying the foot brake, get them to check that the brake lights are working. Next, put the vehicle into reverse so they can tell you whether the reversing light is working properly. Lastly, check that the indicators and warning lights are working at the front and back of the truck. As well as by getting someone else to help, you can also check the rear lights and indicators by stepping off and walking to the back of the truck. And, depending upon lighting conditions, it's possible to check that the brake light works from the spill behind the truck. First, check the cab for any rubbish or unwanted items. These could get trapped under the pedals, so it's important that the cab is free from any debris. When getting into the truck, do not use the steering wheel to pull yourself in by. Constant pressure on the wheel over time will distort and damage the steering column. Instead, always gain 2 points of contact with the truck at the front of the cab and on the back of the seat, and put your weight on these when getting in and also when getting out. Sit in the seat and make sure that it's firm and solid and that it slides backwards and forwards smoothly. Adjust it for your size and shape using the lever below the seat. Insert the key and switch the truck on. A red handbrake light should illuminate on the display. Check the rest of the display for the information on it. There should be sufficient battery power indicated by the green lights, while you should note any warning lights or service or fault indicators. The screen should be clear of any of these indicators if the vehicle's in a usable condition. There are 2 audible warnings on the tow truck, and both need to be checked. First, check that the horn works, and then make sure that the audible warning kicks in when the vehicle is put into reverse. Before driving the truck, it's important to check for any amount of undue play in the steering wheel. The vehicle should not be driven if the wheel is loose or if it moves up and down or from side to side. Next, check that the parking brake is working effectively by trying to drive backwards and forwards while the brake is still on. The truck should not be able to move while the parking brake is on. You next need to check that the vehicle is running smoothly. Drive it backwards and forwards to do this, noting the way it operates. When you do this, also test the emergency stop button on the truck by pressing it down to make sure it's working. Next, you need to check that the truck's other two braking systems, the foot brake and the regenerator brake, are working properly. First, check the foot brake, and you can do this simply by pressing the foot pedal while the vehicle is moving. Finally, check the regenerator braking system by making sure that the vehicle stops within one length when you remove your foot from the accelerator. To check the steering, move forwards and then in reverse in a snaking motion, and as you do so, observe the way the steering reacts and satisfy yourself that it's behaving as you'd expect. Make sure that the mechanism isn't locking up and that the steering's not too stiff. With all your checks done, please make sure you've completed your check sheet fully, and assuming your vehicle is fit for purpose, you're all ready to go.